Very interesting development in Bitcoin, in the Bitcoin ecosystem at large. The Bitcoin Lightning Network has surpassed $1 billion in monthly volume, showing very, very massive surge in adoption and growth of usage of the Bitcoin Lightning Network. Now, if you don't know what the Bitcoin Lightning Network is, that's completely fine. We're going to explain it in today's video. I'm Bryson, and you're watching Simulacra. I make videos, content, a little bit of everything, and build products in the Web3 and AI space. And today we're going to talk about the Bitcoin Lightning Network. Let's get into it. Bitcoin's Lightning Network surpasses $1 billion in monthly volume as adoption grows. So, in the month of November, we passed $1.17 billion in monthly volume for the Bitcoin Lightning Network across over 5 million transactions. That is absolutely insane. So let's go through this article. So they're talking about the Bitcoin Lightning Network, and in November of 2025, the network processed an estimated $1.17 billion across 5 million transactions, and that is a milestone, essentially. This approach allows us to debunk misconceptions that Lightning adoption isn't happening, Rivers said, noting contributions from entities including ACINQ, Kraken, Breeze, Lightspark, LQWD, and others, covering over 50% of network capacity. So what that tells me is that there is definitely still room for other players in the Lightning payment space or Lightning network space to grow. Interestingly, the transaction count fell slightly compared to 2023. So transaction count fell lower, but way more monthly adoption. And we can see a chart right here showing the monthly adoption, the yearly adoption over the last few years of the Lightning Network. So the monthly volume the yearly volume is going up, obviously, absolutely exploding. We're getting that exponential curve that everyone talks about. And it really seems we really are in the Bitcoin adoption stage where we're coming to that upward trend of the exponential curve where you absolutely go sideways, essentially. $1 billion is a lot for monthly transaction volumes for the Lightning Network. Crossing $1 billion in monthly volume marks a milestone for Bitcoin's Layer 2 infrastructure and signals progress towards using Bitcoin as a means of transaction and settlement. So very, 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 very interesting in the land of Bitcoin Lightning Network. And so to understand why the Bitcoin Lightning Network and the monthly transaction volume going up is so important, you have to understand Bitcoin first. So Bitcoin as the network prioritizes security and decentralization. But because every transaction must be verified and added to the blockchain during peak demand, you can get choke points, you can get a bottleneck where the miners are trying to verify and the node operators are trying to verify all of these transactions, but there's so many transactions coming through that we're going to take the highest priority transactions. And that's usually the ones that have the highest amount of Bitcoin involved in the transaction. And so you can have a choke point at peak demand. This produces slower confirmations and higher fees that might make small and then everyday payments pretty much impractical. So as a network, Bitcoin is really bad if you want to just buy gum every day. That's, as its current function, not the best way to use Bitcoin. But the Lightning Network is very good for micropayments and is how the Bitcoin network will scale. So the Lightning Network is Bitcoin's essentially high-speed payment layer. By creating off-chains between the users, between the peers on the Bitcoin network, the Lightning Network enables instant, low-cost transactions while preserving Bitcoin's security. So you have the base layer, the Bitcoin network, blockchain network, and then you will have offshoots, and those form channels where transactions can go through between peers. And so this scalability really unlocks microtransactions, retail payments, and high frequency trading without congesting the main blockchain. And all of those transactions are still posted to the Bitcoin blockchain, so you still get all of your triple entry bookkeeping features of the blockchain that you want. And so that is the Lightning Network, and that's why the Lightning Network is very important. It allows Bitcoin to scale. It allows Bitcoin to process the same amount of transactions as the credit card companies, Visa, MasterCard, etc. do. And it's interesting because it seems like the Lightning payment speed is increasing from the past up until now. So, very interesting. On January 28th, 2026, institutional trade desk Secure Digital Markets sent $1 million to Kraken exchange over the Lightning Network. It settled in 0.43 seconds. The previous record was publicly reported Lightning transaction. The previous record for a publicly reported Lightning transaction was about 1.24 Bitcoin. And that's roughly like $140,000. This was 7x jump in a single transaction. That's insane. A 7-figure style settlement clearing in under half a second is the kind of throughput that Bitcoin, the Bitcoin community, and to really run on a Bitcoin standard, for the world to run on a Bitcoin standard, that's the amount of throughput and volume that we will need, and the speed of the Lightning Network to rival the credit card companies. Very, very interesting. Also really interesting about the Lightning Network is that other countries are using it in mass, specifically in many, many African countries. BitNob is processing Lightning-based salary payments across 23 African countries with volumes up 340% year over year. So that's absolutely insane, first of all. Second of all, Lightning-based salary payments would absolutely change the world. Imagine if you could get paid in Bitcoin immediately after your task, project, work is completed. You don't have to wait for processing from the bank. You don't have to wait for a direct deposit. As soon as you complete this task that you spent your time, energy, and attention on, you can get paid in Bitcoin immediately. I would take a salary in Bitcoin. 100% I would take a salary in Bitcoin. And so the Lightning Network being able to have Lightning-based salary payments would absolutely revolutionize the corporate world and the professional managerial class that Catherine Liu talks about in her book. Very good book. I will definitely make a video about that later. But Lightning-based salary payments would be a game changer, an absolute game changer, especially in a lot of African countries where the entire population, 60% of the entire population is under 25. So the African countries have a lot of room to grow in the Bitcoin space, and Africa is definitely going to be on the map as a whole when it comes to Bitcoin in the very near future. So what comes next? So I guess the flip side of the growth of the Lightning Network for Bitcoin is that humans may not actually be the main driver of growth in the future at all. So the average Lightning transaction in November of 2025 was $223, and that's up from the previous year. And so that means that the average transaction is really not buying gum, buying coffee. It's between exchanges, it's businesses accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment on the Lightning Network for maybe large purchases. And that brings me to AI agents. Now, Lightning Labs recently released an open source toolkit that enables AI agents to run Lightning nodes. Let me say that again. It allows AI agents to run Lightning nodes. So you have the scalability and flexibility of the Lightning Network, and then you have the ability for agents to be able to really jump from application to application to software with a digital wallet and being able to run a Lightning node. You essentially have a fully autonomous human in digital space with digital money. And that's what Bitcoin allows for, and that's really where we're headed. And so these AI agents can run Lightning nodes, they can make autonomous payments, they can host paid services. You can have AI agents running full service businesses and accepting payment in Bitcoin. That is very, very close on the horizon. And it is why tomorrow we start my new Bitcoin native mobile app. We'll get into all of it because I will be building in public and live streaming all of it. But the Lightning Network is going to absolutely explode in the next couple of years. And the next billion in monthly volume may not come from people at all. It may come from AI agents. Insane, but prepare by buying Bitcoin and learning AI. And I hope everybody enjoyed today's video. What do you think of the adoption, the surge in adoption of the Lightning Network for Bitcoin? And what do you think of AI agents in the future really being the sole drivers of all transactions, human and non-human? Leave a comment down below. Remember to like, subscribe, share with your friends and family. You've been watching another video from Simulacra. I'm Bryson, and I'm out. Bye.